Fucking enough. Noted. All right. Well, let's roast this pig. I don't know. That's the best I got for... Is that good?
For an intro?
Oh, are we going? Are we recording?
Oh, we've been going for 15 minutes, bud.
Oh my god, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Good luck with all that. My bad. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Eating Soup Alone is a podcast hosted by me, Christopher Crumley, and co-hosted by Nicholas Johnson. We try our best to ramble incoherently about a handful of movies at least once a week. We watched two movies, and they're two recent ones. And also, I want to take a side note to say, I don't know, maybe you got something in store for next week or whatever, but... I feel like I haven't seen these other two movies, but I feel like it's been a kind of like a strong couple of months for movies. I'd like to see Saltburn, and I'd really like to see Killers of the Sacred or Flowered Moon or whatever. I'd like to see those two.
I hear Saltburn's bad, I think.
I hear discussion, for sure.
Yeah.
I heard someone slurps up some cum, but then also the same character might not like runny eggs.
Okay, well, now I'm interested.
Yeah.
And Killers of the Flower Moon, Marty, I love you. I really do, Bubby, I do. I don't. I ain't watching a fucking 3.5 hour movie.
Okay.
I don't know if I can do that.
Okay.
I hadn't seen Irishman.
Okay.
Barely watched Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
He's really losing me.
You didn't even get a Wolf of Wall Street, did you?
I finished it, but
Sure.
like I said, it was tough.
Okay. Well, to each their own. And this week, our own was The Iron Claw and Poor Things.
Hot damn, it was.
You want to talk about them in the order we watched them?
Yeah, sure. We can start with Iron Claw.
That sounds good. Starting with The Iron Claw. This movie came out in 2023. We just saw it in the theaters. What was your theater context, I guess? Who'd you go see it with?
I went and saw it with my good friend Alaska.
Friend of the show?
Friend of the show.
Did you cry in the theater?
I sure did.
Yeah, so did I.
We watched episode of Dark Side of the Ring about them.
That's true.
Well over a year ago, probably, right?
It didn't even stand out to me. I won't even lie.
Oh, yeah, same.
Didn't even really
because
care about
especially
it
when
that
you're
much.
watching so much Dark Side of the Ring and every episode is, and then they died in their hotel room, and then they crashed their motorcycle. It's when it's just like, oh, cool. It's a hat trick. 3 of them happen in one episode. Awesome. And then you, so when I watched this, I was like, I remember one of them dies for sure. And then I forgot pretty much the rest of what happened to the poor Von Erichs. And so I felt real bad. Like, when Zac Efron comes inside, his dad's sitting at the table and tells him that David died in Japan. Like he opens the door and there's that shot of his dad at the table, and my friend gasped. And I went, oh, "You idiot! You had no idea." And then immediately the movie just starts killing people off, and I'm like, Anyway, empty theater basically. There was one guy who was like moving around a lot, and then a bunch of people who came in an hour and a half into the movie.
Good.
And
Best time.
To like the attendant who was standing there was like, "Is this Aquaman?" And he went, "No, this isn't Aquaman." And they went, "This ain't Aquaman." And then they left.
That's very funny.
And then like 20 minutes later, another group of people walked in, like 15 people.
Yeah.
Just like looking around, like with flashlights on and shit, looking at seats. I'm like, okay, maybe someone in the last screening of Aquaman lost their phone.
Yeah.
And they're looking around for what feels like an eternity because it's a movie theater, but they were probably like less than 5 minutes.
Sure.
Someone goes, "I don't think this is Aquaman," and then they left. So I missed a good chunk of the movie because I was pretty preoccupied by that.
It's very funny.
But besides that, fine theater experience. Yourself?
Yeah, mine was alright. I went with a like I guess kind of a double date kind of situation. And it was good. There were a decent amount of people there. I think we went the day after Christmas, but as for context for the show, also like I just said a second ago, saw the thing. And I don't know why, but like specifically like 70s-ish wrestling usually doesn't do much for me.
Yeah.
I think this movie changed my mind a little, maybe a bit.
Yeah, I like there's an appreciation for it, but for me, I'm not really going to go back and look at it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, but that was definitely the reason why when I saw the episode, it didn't, But anyways, so from the top, I can't remember every little inconsistency or this, that, and the other because, well, God damn it, there's like 5 of them in real life. And you know what? The fucking the first inconsistency is the director thought it would get too confusing, so let's get that other brother out of there. There's a 5th brother
Really?
who's not in the movie yet.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, I guess a 6th brother because Jack also.
Oh, true.
But,
yeah.
But yeah, there's a brother named Chris who's just straight up not in the movie.
Did you
He's the
wrestle at
one.
all?
What's that?
Did you wrestle at all?
Yeah, but he was really tiny. He was like a really small guy, and like in the Dark Side of the Ring. All I can really remember about him, he died obviously because in real life the only one alive is Kevin.
Okay.
But I just remember a bunch of people.
Wow,
Like,
really? Real life, they had another brother that died,
Yeah.
and they decided there's too many dead brothers
I
in this
swear
movie.
to God, like I think you can even read it on Wikipedia here that it says. Chris Von Erich, the youngest member of the family, was not included in the screenplay because, quote, Durkin described the script couldn't withstand one more tragedy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he died by suicide in 1991, a year and a half prior to Carrie, and he was the 4th family member death after Jack Jr., David, and Mike.
That is,
Nuts.
I wouldn't say
egregious almost.
I wouldn't say the final, but it is definitely the latest tragedy of the Von Erich story. That's so sad.
It is honestly like the more I think about it, the more like it's so fucked. Like imagine if they made a movie of your family and they thought like Nick's death would be too much. Let's just not even put him in there.
Yeah, like arguably.
Yeah. That's pretty fucking fucked.
That's we think that your brother's suicide is more important than your suicide. That's
it's tough.
oh,
it's
Christ
rough.
alive.
It's a little rough, but
you know what? I'm gonna dedicate this episode of Eating Soup Alone
to Chris Von Erich.
In
memory of Chris Von Erich.
In memory of Chris Von Erich.
And I'll also say that apparently, so in the movie, Kevin sells WCCW to Jerry Jarrett or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In real life, Fritz, his dad, sold it.
Okay.
But I think Carrie and Kevin got to keep like 40% ownership or something. And I think, at least according to Wikipedia, there was something about Kevin trying to sue Jarrett. But anyways, so that's a big difference. Obviously, like in the movie, the dad's all like, you sell that promotion, you're not welcome in that door again. But, you know, in real life, it was more so like his dad being like, the money's drying up, we're selling this motherfucker.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
that tracks.
It tracks a lot more with his character,
Yeah.
because his character is, you know, like literally a guy who in real life and in the movie was skimming money off his kids. But anyways, another change is that Carrie doesn't die until after the promotion's even sold and stuff.
Okay.
I don't even think he made it to the WWE until after the promotion sold and stuff. And yeah, in the WWE, you got a little dicked because, you know, Vince McMahon has that whole thing where, like, he's, like, really jealous of anybody being famous prior to being in the WWE, like any star that he didn't make.
Gotcha.
No, obviously there are exceptions. Like there's a lot of guys who came over from WCW, like Rey Mysterio or whatever, who are just fine and stuff like that. But there are a lot of guys he married. But
Logan
yeah,
Paul.
so that's where like the Texas Tornado thing comes from. They give him that name because you know, Vince McMahon doesn't want him, being Kerry Von Erich.
Yeah,
that's synonymous with the So like the ring announcers apparently during his first couple matches like mentions his name as Kerry Von Erich, but they don't mention any of his achievements. They just say that he's very accomplished, and then eventually it was just the Texas Tornado. But yeah, and obviously he didn't wrestle well. I mean, by the time he'd gotten there, he's missing his foot, wasn't good. I mean, similar situation with the episode about fucking god damn it, what's that guy's name? The holy shit, Brian Pillman. Do you remember the Brian Pillman episode? He's like the proto Attitude Era guy who shows up in Raw, and he's already had his foot smashed, and they had to like fuse it to where he can't even bend it.
Yeah.
So he wrestles like shit because he can't actually use his foot.
Yeah.
It's just crazy that happened like 3 or 4 years after Kerry Von Erich showed up with a fake foot that no one knew about.
Yeah.
So weird that two guys did that in the 90s. Two guys showed up to WWE without telling anyone that their foot is done. But whatever. So anyways, those are just the three things I noticed offhand. Is like Chris definitely is a real person who exists. The dad sold the promotion, and also Kerry died in the 90s after the promotion had sold.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with, switching around when somebody died or who did or did not sell something for the plot of a movie, but
sure,
that's a whole man's life and death.
Well, you know what else is this weird? And I guess they probably did it because it's like less graphic, but Kerry did kill himself by shooting himself in the chest.
Mm-hmm.
Another brother killed himself by shooting himself in the head, and I think that was the brother who did it on the property. And I don't think Kerry did it on the property like that.
Gotcha.
I think he went somewhere else. So again, that's also a little weird, just to like be like, nah, we're gonna make this brother kill himself like the other brother did, because I believe that's how David or Chris killed themselves. And then the way that Carrie did it. Let me just click on Carrie real quick just to verify how Carrie did it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Oh, everything do-do. Ba-da-boom-boom-boom. Yeah, what's this right here? Died by suicide with a single gunshot to the heart on his father's ranch. Okay, so I guess on the ranch. And, we don't have to dig through how everybody else done did it. But anyways, so anyways, to talk about the movie, it starts out black and white.
What?
Oh, sorry, there's more. It's my bad.
What did you think about this movie? Resident wrestling super fan of the show, Chris Crumley. What did you think of Iron Claw?
I'll say two things. One, I think the wrestling in general was handled very tastefully. It's very exciting. Looks good.
It's the best I think I would say I've ever seen wrestling look.
Yeah. But I would also at the same time say no disrespect to whatever that guy's name is. But I really feel like they should have gotten someone with a little more charisma to play Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a Ric Flair promo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was taking me out the most.
Yeah.
Was watching, specifically that promo, being like, trying to like grab onto any part of what he's doing that reminds me of Ric Flair.
Like he kind of got the S's a little bit because Ric Flair's got like a little bit of a lisp when he was trying for it. But yeah, it's just, Ric Flair, more like Rick glaringly not the guy.
Not bad. I'll let you try another one later.
Okay, I'll try, yeah. I'll think about it a little bit. But what about you, I guess? I mean, you commented on the wrestling part of it, but as a whole, I guess, let me put the wrestling aside. At first, I felt like I was a little underwhelmed, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty solid. I'd probably give it like in the B- range, but for like a day or two after, just like, I mean, I did cry in the theater, but there were just like a couple of things, and we'll get to it when we talk about the movie as a whole, where I was like, nah, that was like a little corny and a little like based on true story-ish, like just like, like just like very conventional based on true story movie. Mm-hmm. But then for like the couple of days following, I was like, man, this motherfucker's still sitting on me like like King Kong Bundy sitting on my chest or something. But yeah, and then after a couple of days, I was like, you know what? No, I really, really did like that movie a lot. And I guess spoilers. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think I'm probably going to give it a solid A. I don't think it deserves an A+, but I think it's pretty solid movie. That I don't think it's a tough one because I think it's among some of the most solid that I've seen in a while. I also don't think it's like necessarily like one of the best things ever or something like that. But for what it is really, really I think a remarkable movie.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear you liked it as much as you did.
Yeah. What about you?
This movie starts in black and white. The dad and bought a new car hooked up to her trailer and. God, I hate my husband, and I'm pregnant with 2 kids inside of me, and there's 2 kids. And I was like, okay, I got this movie. I got this movie clocked. I know what this movie is, and all right. And then just almost immediately, as soon as it's modern day and those big boys about to explode muscly men are just like floating up and down the river, drinking beer and eating burgers and shit like that.
Don't Fear the Reaper riff hits.
And I immediately like these brothers, and I care about these brothers as brothers. And I was like, oh, never mind. This movie just surprised me. Literally at every chance it had, I think. This movie just kind of blew me away. It just really took me by surprise, and I really, really, really enjoyed it. Yeah. This movie kicks ass.
Yeah, I mean, I came home and I learned the Don't Fear the Reaper riff.
Nice.
It's not that challenging.
No.
It's the same chord progression as All Along the Watchtower. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was going to say, welcome to your second month of learning how to play guitar.
Well, because I was never really a classic rock guy.
Yeah.
I never went through a classic rock phase too much.
Yeah, but who is?
What's that?
Every guy that teaches someone how to play guitar. So I know it. I know Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
I know Smells Like Teen Spirit.
But Don't Fear the Reaper, genuinely a good song, I think.
Oh, it kicks
I like
ass,
that song a lot.
Oh, yeah.
What's her name? Smokes weed to it in Halloween. Jamie Lee Curtis with her friend is on the radio when they're smoking weed in the car.
Yeah, it's on the radio when Billy Loomis comes to talk to Sidney Prescott, but it's a cover, so it doesn't sound like Fear the Reaper. Okay. So the movie's telling you, hey, Billy Loomis is the Reaper, but
don't fear him.
It's hidden. No.
Anyways, but I know what you're talking about. That's a great example. Is when it starts out in the beginning, it's in black and white. It's a little corny, and later on, something that you I guess helped me gain an appreciation for was the scene. Where Kevin carries a now dead Carrie into the house, and then it cuts to Carrie like walking in the front yard with his foot back, and then he's like floating on a river, and then sitting on a dock is like his 2 brothers. And then he hugs the brothers. He's like, I miss you, brothers. And he's like, now where's Jack Jr.? And then the little baby that we've never met comes out and he hugs Jack Jr. He's like, I love you so much. And when I was watching that in the theater, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? But then you were like, no, like, not only are they like very religious, but also like, I think that's like Kevin like fantasizing, like trying to come to peace with like, you know, Carrie's death, is that like, well, now he's in a better place with the brothers and stuff. And I was like, okay. From that context, yes, I'm less offended by that scene. But there were just a couple of things like that, like, you know, like another scene, I think you mentioned it, the one with the whole, like, what do you want to do with your life? And he's like, I want to wrestle, I want to be world champion, you know?
Yeah. Which
is fine. But there's just like a couple of things like that in there, which is fine. But, yeah, so just to get it underway, David's wrestling, right? And I think Kevin might be wrestling in the beginning. They, like, debut tag team.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, wrestle with Bruiser Brody, and then
so
Gino
happy
Hernandez.
to see Bruiser Brody. Every time I saw a wrestler I recognized in this, I was so proud of myself.
Yeah, so they and I like you know, again, just to talk about the 70s stuff, like the Sportatorium just looks like the place to be on a Saturday night, you know, just rolling up in the back of the truck.
I was thinking the entire time, I was like, is this all that happens at the Sportatorium or whatever it's called? Yeah, that's got so the Von Erichs own it, and they just wrestle there.
Yeah,
every night.
A lot of nights. Weekends? Yeah. So yeah, a lot of nights I'd reckon. But maybe just on the weekends. Maybe throughout the week it's like a training thing. I don't know. It depends, because like I would have to know more historical context, but I'd reckon they probably do it at least throughout the weekend. I don't know. It's so weird because like sometimes, you know, when I'm looking back at like regional days from the 70s, they talk about like how like Saturday morning was their TV slot, and it's like, so are you doing wrestling matches at 9 a.m. then, or is this like taped, or what's up?
I have seen a lot of wrestling matches. I have seen a lot of wrestling matches online, like on YouTube or Instagram, or whatever, pop up that do have the exact same feel as going to the Pinewood Derby when I was in the Boy Scouts and stuff like that at 9 in the morning in a church auditorium. So I get it.
Yeah, and I know that stuff happened even throughout the 90s. I'm sure it happens to this day, like even with WWE and stuff like that. But that was like a big thing. About wrestling up until probably the 2000s, is that like you would wrestle 2 or 3 times a day sometimes, because you would do exactly that, like just 9 a.m. at the church or whatever. Then you'd fly 3 hours to like make a noon show or whatever the fuck, and then you fly a couple hours to go wrestle a main event at nighttime. Which also begs the question, where are you getting your pump on at? I was thinking about that. When are you getting your pump on?
Oh, you between the first and the second matches, you do your give me 2 seconds. What does the H in HGH stand for?
Human growth hormone?
Human growth hormones.
Yeah.
You do your human growth hormones, and then you do like 15 push-ups on the plane on the way there. And that's what gets you looking like that.
Yeah. So that's something that's really interesting too about, this is hearsay. I read it one time, and I don't know. I cannot verify this, but I did read one time. This is really a genuinely like fucked up thing that I hate to say. But I read that like Jeremy Allen White, like part of the divorce was that like he had to breathalyze before he could see his kids or something like that.
Oh, I didn't know he got a divorce. Didn't know he was married. Didn't know he had kids. Didn't know he was an alcoholic.
Yeah, 32, alcoholic, had a wife that he just divorced, and they had 2 kids together. Now he's dating some like singer named Rosalia. Rosalia?
That might be the most I learned about a person in a sentence.
But what I want to say about that is like I just remember watching a like shoot interview with Kevin Nash, where he was talking about like the reason why a lot of wrestlers abused pills wasn't even necessarily for the pain aspect of it, like, oh, I'm in pain, I need to use them. It was more so like something like Quaalude. He's like, you're a 300, 400 pound fucking 7-foot monster. You don't get drunk off 6 beers. You don't get drunk off 12 beers. You get drunk off like 18 beers.
Yeah.
And he was saying, but you pop a Quaalude and suddenly 2 beers has you fucking smashed, right? Now, he was like, now I take back to that example, you drink 18 beers every night to get a little kick going, and suddenly you're a fat slob who doesn't have the body they need to be the main event, right?
Yeah.
But you drink 1 or 2 beers, that's a lot more manageable. You can burn that off in the gym. You can stay slim, looking good. So it was more of like a dietary thing. Like
wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you didn't look like a fat slob. But my question is, how's Jeremy Allen White looking like that if he's slamming so many beers? You know what I'm saying?
He's got to be Quaaludes then, right?
But anyways, we're not TMZ.
Or maybe he's not a beer guy. Maybe he's a hard alcohol guy.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. But I would like to quickly mention when David is cutting his, not David, oldest one,
Oldest one's David. Oh no, oldest one Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah, tallest one is David.
Yes.
Yeah, my bad.
When
Not
Kevin
the same thing.
is shooting his promo,
Yeah,
he has to keep restarting,
funny.
and his brother's there. It was the first time I noticed, like, this movie's like shot really well. I get like I don't want to. I shouldn't be so self-conscious, but I always like want to like put a preface there of like when I say, hey, this is shot really well, or I think this is a good shot.
Yeah,
I don't like know what I'm talking about.
No,
I think this movie's fun to look at.
Yeah,
like especially really when it cuts back to the camera, and the camera that's filming him is center screen with the guy standing behind it, and then there's the guy a little bit off to the left, and then his brother's in the back right talking.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh well, I like this because it's like the camera being in the center. You get the whole feeling I get from the shot is like camera's in the center, so you know that's what's important.
Yeah.
But also there's so much going on that it's kind of hard to focus on exactly that in the middle.
Yeah.
And also this guy's talking to you over here by the right, and it's all very distracting. I was like, oh, that's great. I fucking love that.
Yeah. Are you talking about when Dad's on stage being like, and my son is gonna...
No.
Different one, okay.
When Zac Efron is shooting his promo and he's like,
really?
And I'm cut, and like he's it's the before the
Yes.
surprise match where his brother comes out. Yeah.
No, I thought that promo scene was another really funny one that is in line with that whole thing where like I didn't get around to it because we just got so off track. But when Bruiser Brody is like laying out the match with them, that's like a really fun.
I love that.
Yeah, just like little fun little nods to like the actual like like what is wrestling, I guess in a sense. Because I even had the conversation afterwards in the parking lot with a friend of mine where they were like, it's all like planned though, so like what does the championship mean? And I was like, well, because it's like a combination of like being athletic enough to like go in the ring, but also like have it look good, like people actually think what you're doing like looks good, and then also having like the personality to like basically be kind of like a movie star. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where it's like, it's just hard work, dedication, people like, and you just work your way to the top like that. It's like in a sense a popularity contest.
It's American Idol.
You are the best. And,
it's American Idol with all the judges and the call-in voters are like corporate guys, which I mean it's such a dumb comparison.
Sure, but it's like another beauty contest or something. But it's also like the beauty is also like when you're getting your shit in, does your shit look cool too? Because you can't just look cool. You also got what you're doing has to look cool.
Yeah, and
like the Stone Cold Stunner, cool as fuck.
Oh yeah.
RKO, cool as fuck.
Oh yeah.
The Spear, Edge, that was cool as fuck. What you did there.
I feel like it's always been a big problem with like Dark Side of the Ring or Resurrection of Jake the Snake or any of the documentaries I've seen about wrestling, is all of it always still kind of has the kayfabe to it. Yeah. Where the matches are treated like, but this is also a real fight between two guys. Yeah. And I felt like this movie did that a little bit, but it's the scene you're talking about where they're in the back going like, okay, but you got, I'm going to come out from the high fly, but you have to make it like just that. I'm like, I love that because I don't think I've seen that ever in a wrestling anything.
Yeah, I mean, another thing also is, I think a great moment like that too is when he gets suplexed by Harley Race on the concrete. And he literally physically can't gets it. When he's in the back, like he's like, I couldn't get up, Dad, and like his dad just says it once, but it's like it's exactly what we're talking about, like in terms of like why someone ends up with the belt. He says to him, that's how they're going to test you. Yeah. And it's just that. It's just like, it's just like, I know it sounds dumb in like a boys club, but like from my understanding of wrestling, like, it's kind of that. It's like, can I rib you and can you take it? Yeah. And if you can take it, then damn, you earned my respect, man. I didn't think you'd be able to take. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause like when I hear like Stone Cold talk or like, Randy Orton talk, it's always about like them being big pranksters and like, people earning respect by being like cool about it or pranking them back. Like it's just like it's like a boys club. They're just hanging out, and if you can hang, then you're like, oh, that's a cool guy.
It's cool, but it also sucks because it does feel like
it's a little bullyish.
It's a little bullyish, but no, I think it definitely feels like a mentality that comes from the higher ups. Yeah, where it's just like, hey, this job is fucking tough and not probably will kill you before the age of 65. Yeah. So you have to be getting squeezed on the entire time to make sure you're going to like make it as much as we need you to. So it becomes a boys club. Yeah, probably. Sorry, go on. I don't even remember where we're at. Oh, they're wrestling with Bruiser, yeah.
But, on a side note, I mean, you don't have to go totally through everything. I mean, in the early half, he does fall in love with that lady, and...
oh, my God. Lily James, I love her and everything she's in. I think she's great. I want to see her in more stuff.
But I do want to say, as an overarching thing, I think, what you were saying in the beginning, yes, like, almost immediately I was just hit with this wave of, like, I like these brothers so much. And like, there's a couple of weird things, like mom's a little weird and dad's a little weird, but this is a good family. And then by the time you get to the point where like it's just Kevin and his wife, and there's a baby crying in the other room, and then Carrie shows up all fucked up with like a girl, and you're just like watching family dinner be quiet and awkward and tense. You're like, damn, like, and it not that bad ever in my life, but like I at this point in my life have had like a couple of like family deaths or whatever, or like disagreements where people don't talk, and now suddenly things are different. It was just really fucking me up because I was like, damn, like things do change, and sometimes not necessarily for the best.
Yeah.
Like, in a sense, like everything is fine and things are better in one way, but in another sense, like something is gone because this person has passed away.
Yeah, it sucks. To jump ahead to that scene, but that it's for sure one of those things where like even if Carrie showed up sober and was like, hey, I'm a born again Christian, and also I'm a priest, and here's my wife and my kids, because I'm a cool priest at a cool church where I can have a wife and kids.
And my body's not on the line anymore. And I'm not gonna die by 65.
And look at this, grew a whole new foot. It's crazy. Everything's fine.
Dad, I bought you a car.
There's still 2 dead brothers.
Yes.
Dinner's not going to be okay.
No. Even with one dead brother, like, dinner's not okay anymore.
Yeah.
Because just David's not there.
Yeah. It's very tough.
Crazy tough.
But mom being like, you can when he goes, Dad's too hard on Michael, the music brother.
Yeah, Mike, the music brother. Yep.
Dad's too tough on Mike. You have to talk to him.
Yeah.
And mom going, that's between them. You have to do something if you want something done about it. It's so tough, especially when Dad says it later to him about Carrie. But it's so like, I think the feeling I got when Dad says it later is that mom got it from Dad. Yeah. Because Dad's always saying shit like that. Yeah. And mom is so, from her saying that to her being upset in the car when she's pregnant earlier in the movie. Yeah, just because you don't spend a lot of time with mom in this movie, but every time you do, you just know that like mom's pretty checked out, and being married to Dad is fucking probably pretty rough. And so she's a bad mom technically, but she's a person who is just, I guess, shell shocked from being married. Yeah,
she's just like, it's in the hands of the Lord now.
Yeah, like that has to be what I believe, because I will explode otherwise. I love that. You have to be nice to Mike, yada yada. And then when they go and they pick him up, and they're like legitimately excited to see him with his band. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I love that. Yeah. And then he's like, can we get burgers?
Yeah, he's like, Carrie would get burgers. And he's like, I'll get burgers with you, bro. And then they're just driving in the truck eating burgers.
And it hard cuts to them listening to Tom Petty eating burgers in a pickup truck. And I was like, fucking guys being dudes. And then it cuts to them in a river drinking beer. Yeah. Listening to the different Tom Petty while everyone's like, what's up, Von Erichs? And I'm like, fucking guys being dudes.
Yeah. The best cut off shorts digging holes in the field.
Love it. Also, why are they doing that ever? I never understood. Yeah. I guess they have
shit got to get done on a farm, Sometimes you need holes.
Why do they have a farm though? They got the wrestling thing. That seems where the money's coming from.
Yeah.
Anyway,
put that time into the sportatorium, boys.
Yeah. Well, if my boys are going to be working out as hard as they are, I could probably get some cheap labor and just have a farm built around their workout regimen. Yeah. When the best review I think I've seen of this movie. Yeah. From a just random guy on Twitter. I'm so sorry, I don't remember his name. I'll try to find it and say it before the end of this episode. Yeah. But this movie is, about how bad masculinity can be, and being too masculine can kill 7 of your 11 brothers and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. It's just a deconstruction of what it is to be a man and stuff like that. But also it is uncompromisingly still a dude's rock movie. Yeah. Like just the guys in the river drinking beer or eating burgers in the truck, or
it's like a Lee Jeans commercial.
Yeah, it's like there's never a time where it's just like, look at this like fucked up thing that, I mean, I'm sorry. Most of the movie is like, look at these fucked up things men are doing to each other because they're so can't get past their masculinity. Yeah. But I feel like 50% of the time you see the brothers too. It's like, look at these guys being dudes, and it's one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen is these 3 short brothers in the 70s just being dudes.
Which is interesting because, like, I do, for the most part, when it comes to movies, like, subscribe to the David Lynch, the whole thing where it's like, if you want to send a message, go to Western Union. Yeah. But also at the same time, I do like that aspect of it where it's like, hey, these are the ways in which masculinity is kind of cool, but then also there's a bunch of part of it that's not cool. You know what I mean? Like, floating down the river is cool with your boys, the thing that I want to say also is that, like, at the end of the day, I think it does enough for you to glean the lesson from a true story without forcing the lesson in there too much.
Yeah, I think that David.
And
okay, go on.
Oh, and then the last thing I was gonna say is that last scene I like a lot. It's a little corny, but I love when he's crying and his sons are just kind of like, "What's wrong, Dad?" And he's like, "I just, I don't want to bother you guys. A man doesn't cry or whatever." He's like, "That's all right, Dad. You can cry." Like, and he's like, "Well, what's wrong?" And he's like, "I just was thinking about how I used to have 5 brothers, and now, well, I'm not even a brother or whatever." And they're like, "We'll be your brother, Dad," or whatever. And he's like, "Thanks, boys. I like that or whatever." But you just get the sense that, like, at least in my opinion, the sense that I got when I was watching that was that, like, modern day Kevin Von Erich, who, like, I've seen in the Dark Side of the Ring episode, he ends that episode by going on a long monologue about how he's like, "I've had fame, I've had money, and at the end of the day, the things that really sustain you are just dinner with the family." That's like the last thing he says in the thing or whatever. I've been thinking about it since I watched it or whatever. And just that last scene, I got the sense that, like, like that's what softened those edges, like kind of cleansed them of that, like, toxic masculinity, was like kind of being a dad, and like through his relationship to his family learned how to, like, be like, "Yeah, I can cry, that's fine, there's nothing wrong with crying."
It's like the quickest I've ever seen a movie. Like, this isn't exactly what you were saying. It might not even exactly be what the point of the scene is, but it's what I got from it, which is something I fucking love in movies. Is a parent and their kid, and like a parent being like, "Oh fuck, okay, I have learned something and I have grown exponentially in my life from something that my kid just told me."
Yeah.
Which is like I love that in movies when it's like heavy-handedly showing you like what a parent gets out of being a parent, other than like the negative side you see in movies always is like, "You're gonna fulfill my dream," but like I feel like
or just like, "Oh my god, the kid shit on the wall and then also smashed my chandelier."
Exactly. I love it in a movie where it's just like, oh no, arguably what seems like the coolest part about being a parent is teaching somebody something, and then also having them teach you shit as well.
Well said.
And so I can't skip into the scene at the end, but fucking as heavy-handed as it is, I don't care. It's perfect. There's no fat on that scene to me. Every word hits, and then it hits, and then it hits, and then it hits. Like, I don't even have a brother anymore. Sorry, boys. You shouldn't see me crying. A man shouldn't be crying in front of his sons. I love that one of his sons go, "What are you talking about? We cry all of the time." I'm like, God, that's so sweet.
It reminds me of that Macho Man Randy Savage clip. I think he's like on the Arsenio Hall show. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've cried 1,000 times and I'll cry 1,000 more. Oh yeah."
A real macho man shows the full array of emotions. It's so good.
But back to the film, they eventually, this is something I didn't know that happened in real life, but apparently in the 1980 Summer Olympics, Jimmy Carter got on TV and said, "Hey, we're not going."
Yeah, I learned that from this movie. Yeah, that's crazy.
So Kerry comes home because he was going to be like a discus thrower.
And I was thinking about that too.
Shot put? What is that? I don't know what the fuck it is.
Yeah, discus throw. Shot put, discus throw. I think
that's the same thing.
I believe so.
Right. I've never paid attention to that sport ever. I just know that sometimes in movies set before the 70s, people do it. I'm sure they still do it to this day, but can you be doing it that much better? Like, how much better can we throw a disc? We've been doing it since Greece.
I bet you exponentially. I bet we're way better than those stupid Grecians were.
I'll look it up.
I know a little bit about it. My friend, a good friend of the show, Jacob Evilsizer, was a discus, was a shot putter.
Disc man?
No. I lied. He was shot put, so he threw the big ball. He didn't throw the disc. But I was thinking about it during this movie when he's riding back on the bus, about how tough that is, because I was like, it seems strange to throw away your life as an athlete because of this to go, be a wrestler.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like, no offense to the discus enthusiasts listening, I feel like the Olympics are the beginning and end of your professional career as a discus thrower.
Genuinely. I have two things to say about that. One is that, like, that's one of the things that's, like, so fucked about the Olympics to me, is that, like, if for some reason it gets fucked up that year, or
you can never do it again.
Yeah.
Because it's 4 years, and like this is what I was getting at. When you're an Olympian at the top of your sport,
that doesn't last
it is
long.
Less than a 4-year window, probably. So you can't wait until the next Summer Olympics. Yeah, that sucks.
But the other thing is that I think this is an interesting story, so it'd be fun to put in the podcast, especially when we're talking about wrestling. I don't know how familiar you are, but like with Kurt Angle's story. But Kurt Angle, long story short, you know that movie Foxcatcher?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he was kind of a part of that. It was like just, I guess, I haven't seen the movie. I'd like to see the movie, but from my understanding of the situation, it was like an eccentric millionaire was like, hey, I would like to just have like a place where like a bunch of like Olympic level wrestler kids can just come and wrestle and live here for free and train for free and stuff. And then he had like a buddy who was like a really world renowned like wrestling instructor, coach, whatever you want to call it. So Kurt Angle had a really close relationship with that wrestling coach because he grew up kind of without a dad because his dad died on the job. Then one day that millionaire just showed up and shot that trainer. It's like it was like an unsolved thing. I don't know, or maybe I don't know if there was ever a motive found out or whatever. But he just showed up at his house and shot him with a gun, and he died. But anyways, so I'm only giving that as like a little bit of context. But yeah, basically Kurt Angle.
So not only are we spoiling the 2 movies that we watched this week, we're also spoiling bonus a third one for you that neither of us have seen.
Yeah, but so in real life, also Kurt Angle broke his neck right before qualifying for the Olympics, but he went to, from his his recollection, he was like, I went to a doctor and basically the doctor said like, yeah, you're never gonna wrestle again or whatever, or like basically like you're gonna have to like get this surgery and you're not gonna be able to wrestle for this amount of time. And he was like, that doesn't work, like I gotta go to the Olympics basically. And so like he's like, I called another doctor said the same thing. He's like I finally called a third doctor and this third doctor was like, well, the way that it's broken, you could probably still wrestle if we shoot your neck full of painkillers, basically. You just won't, feel it, and we'll deal with it after the Olympics. So he did that, and he won gold at the Olympics with a broken fucking neck, which is also nuts because everybody knew this. So the next match he wrestled in, like, the next, like, qualifying round, they play footage of it in this documentary I watched. Like, the guy just immediately started just, like, grabbing his neck with, like, interlocked fingers and just yanking his head down as hard as he could because he was like, I'm just going to wreck this guy. But Kurt Angle looks at the camera and he's just like, but I'm on so many fucking painkillers. He can do that all he wants. He kept doing that. I kept grabbing his legs. I won. You know what I'm saying?
Christ, yeah.
So anyways,
Jesus.
He wins gold with a broken fucking neck. And that was his catchphrase for a long time. He's like, I won a medal with a broken freaking neck. But basically what happened is what you were talking about with the life of an Olympic athlete. Like at first, Vince McMahon came knocking immediately and he was like, hey, I'll give you $1 million every year for 5 years. Come wrestle or whatever. And Kurt Angle was like, wrestling is really fucking dumb. Pro wrestling, and I'm not going to fucking do that. Sorry. Unless, I think he said like, yeah, if I can come in and be a good guy who wins every one of his matches or whatever. And Vince McMahon was like, no, that's not going to happen. So then Kurt Angle was like, at first, like I had won and I was kind of a hero and cool things. He's like, but then suddenly it's 2 years later and there's nothing. Literally nothing. I'm like living at home with my parents, no job, there's nothing lined up, there's whatever. And he's like, so one night I'm up late, and I see pro wrestling on and I thought like, well, I guess I can probably do that. And so he ended up calling Vince didn't answer, ended up getting a hold of Jim Ross and he was like, hey, is that a deal for $1 million or whatever still on the table? And he's like, no. He's like, you can get $300,000 a year for 5 years, or like a year, and we'll see. I think it was like a year, and he was like, and we'll see how you're doing after the end of the first year.
Yeah.
And so basically, yeah, then there's the whole story of like him training and starting. But basically, that's why, much like Kerry, I mean, he turned to professional wrestling because again, like, yeah, he is a professional wrestler. I mean, not a professional wrestler. It's like an Olympic wrestler or whatever. Like, yeah, there's like, I mean, what do you do? I mean, even as a professional wrestler, when that's done, what do you do? I know that like the guy, the Boogeyman. Do you remember the Boogeyman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I met the Boogeyman. Yeah.
Yeah. We did together.
We sure did.
But he has just a gym in Boulder, Colorado. I guess he helps people train and like lose weight and stuff. But either way, like you were saying a second ago, to reiterate with a real life story, yes, yeah, it's slim pickings once you either don't make it to the Olympics or finish the Olympics even.
Got some fun facts for you.
Sure.
The gold medal winning distance in men's discus throw.
Yes.
For the Summer Olympics, Athens. 1896.
Yeah.
29 meters.
29 meters, okay.
Tokyo, 2020, 68.
Damn, you were right exponentially.
Exponentially,
wow.
This graph looks pretty exponential to me.
Yeah.
But,
who the fuck is throwing a shit that? God damn.
Yeah, people are throwing that shit, but also, I'm
so
absolutely talking out of my ass here. But Chris, 50 meters in 130 years.
Yeah,
I feel like we should be fucking that thing up way more.
But my other thing is like, there's no way that's sustainable growth. Like it's not like in another 150 years we're gonna put another 50 on it, right? There's no way.
Oh no, between 1988 to now, it's a line.
Yeah.
Like the highest one
Got to be
is
plateauing to some degree.
like last year was what the farthest was 68.9,
Okay.
and the highest it's ever been is 72.3 in 1988.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we've plateaued. We're done. Yeah. But also, get on it, Discus.
Yeah.
If you want me watching this year, get on
Go
it.
throw a football. Or a baseball.
Or figure out how to throw your little disc farther. That's all I want.
But anyway, so back to it. Yeah, so they win the 6-man tag at one point. I love the cheesy
Rush.
little scene, yes, where he's working out and he hears his brother listening to Rush, and then the hard cuts to them coming out to Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
Oh!
That's the best I've ever seen
Full
wrestling.
send.
So sick.
Yeah, I've never really been that much of a Rush guy, but I heard that bitch and I was like, tomorrow at Planet Fitness, I am listening to Tom Sawyer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's Rush. Rush is one of those bands where it's
Yeah.
like, arguably, scientifically,
Yeah.
this is corny as fuck.
Yeah.
But when you're in that when you're
Yeah.
in that Rush mood, it's
Yeah.
it's the sickest. It's the
Yeah.
sickest shit in the world.
I saw a picture of Geddy Lee, and he was like sitting in front of a couple of bongos. And Rush only has 3 members. Isn't that a fun fact?
Yeah.
But
2. I think one of them died.
he's playing the bongos or whatever. But then also, third bongo? That ain't a bongo. That's a big ass ashtray. Geddy Lee loves to smoke, I think. So, anyways,
yeah.
it's
Fun
pretty cool.
Rush anecdote. The only one I know
Yeah.
from watching Rush Behind the Music. They hadn't really like put out like their like album yet. I think the
Yeah.
Tom Sawyer one, the like
Yeah.
rock,
Dun, 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 dun.
the like math rock album because
Yeah.
the math rock band. They're opening for Kiss, I believe, and he Rush's name
Geddy Lee?
Geddy Lee
Yeah.
talks about like being in the back of like one of their vans with Kiss.
Yeah.
Be like, oh yeah, here, and like showing them the record that they were working on, which was the Tom Sawyer one, I believe. And he goes, yeah, and I've never seen a group of people so just lost for words and just bewildered before, and not in a good way. Like I've never seen 4 people not
Like
understand
disgusted,
something so much in their life. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, that's
very funny.
because it's Kiss makes it so funny.
It's very funny. I imagine them in the makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also that song Limelight. Living in the limelight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but anyways.
What's funnier, if Kiss is in full makeup doing something normal, or if like
out of makeup?
2 of them are in makeup and 2 of them aren't.
Well, I always think about, on a side note, I always think about that Family Guy episode. Like when they're at the Denny's, Lois had sex with one of them or whatever, and Peter's like kind of jealous, but he decides that it's awesome by the end of it. But they're just at that Denny's, and they're like talking and it's quiet for a second, and one of them goes, "My grand slam was supposed to come with sausage." And I think about that all the time. It's always never left my mind.
I'm also, side note, sorry, I know we're on so many tangents. I'm so freaking mad. You're so right. Family Guy is just back in a big way.
Oh, is
like,
it?
You called it like 2 years ago, and everywhere I look now, people are unironically like, I fucking love Family Guy. All right, everybody.
I've been a little unplugged from the internet as a large.
It's Family Guy. It's Family Guy Central, Chris.
Damn.
And no one will shut up about Family Guy.
I did just make a joke the other day. Sorry to pat myself on the back, I guess. I thought it was kind of funny, but I was talking to Armand at the gym about, because he was like, I want to watch something on my phone when I run instead of listening to music next time. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to do the same thing, but I like to hold the phone so I can get the steps so I know about what I got. And I was like, if only I had a second phone. He's like, you do, you get that work phone. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want them to see that I watched 9 seasons of Family Guy. But anyways, so that's really cool. So now I can unironically dip my toes back in, is what you're saying?
I believe so, yes.
Cool. I had to wait until it was cool again. But so anyway, so Carrie comes home. Like I said, they win the 6-man tag thing. Then, there's the whole thing where, David gets picked over Kevin, right? Because he cuts a good trash talking promo because Kevin is not so good at the promo thing.
Yeah, because he's not good at the promo thing, and then he got the wind knocked out of him by the champ.
Yeah.
So he can't talk while he's up there.
Yeah.
And that sucks because that feels like the inciting incident. And so for the rest of this movie, just because of that, you feel like, oh yeah, Dad's not going to let him try out
fell.
fucking ever again. Yeah.
Fell in the ranking.
Do we go to party yet? Go to college party yet?
I can't remember, but that is a nice scene we should talk about.
Yeah.
Mike's like, I want to play a show with the college, and his mom's like, nope, you're under 21 or whatever. You cannot be on a college campus or whatever. And he's like, oh, but Mom. And then the boys sneak the fuck out.
Yeah, I love it. They're like, oh, we'll take him. And Mom's like, they're all like, yeah, we'll be there. It'll be all of us, and my girlfriend will come, and it'll be fine. We'll have him home. Yeah, sounds good. And then Mom's like, You are not 21 years old. You're not going. And then just a hard cut to them.
Yeah.
I love.
The boys are back in town.
Never would have thought about it, but the truck off in neutral, pushing
Yeah.
it off out of their long ass driveway. So good.
Yeah, so sick.
My one complaint with this scene though is, how long is this fucking song that he's playing?
Oh, I don't know. What is this song? Also, I don't know this song.
I don't know.
Is it something that he actually wrote?
Yeah, I was gonna say it might be a Mike Van Erck original, but like it cuts to a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
It's the length of a song, like for 2 minutes maybe, but like they're watching him and like he's halfway through the song and you're like, this is pretty good. Yeah, and then it hard cuts to two of them doing kickstands while the song is diegetically in the background.
Yeah, and a little bit of like pretty hard foreshadowing. I think the girlfriend looks at Carrie and says, "He parties a little hard, huh?" But I do like Zac Efron's delivery of the thing, because he just goes like, "Yeah, Carrie can put him back" or something like that. He doesn't think anything of it. He just says that and then like continues going. Like he doesn't like leave the thing to sit there. He's like, "Yeah, you can put him back." But what do you think of my family? Like it's just like really.
Yeah, she's like, "I love your family."
Yeah.
And I love when the two of them go out to the truck
And fuck in the truck.
and he's like, "Have you ever?" And she goes, "Is that a problem?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh no, I just." And she's like,
Yeah.
"Zac Efron, Von Erich, you are the sweetest thing." I'm like, "Oh, this is the cutest sex scene I've ever seen in my entire life."
Yeah.
Kevin Von Erich.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to shout out. Zac Efron is so fucking good in this movie.
Yeah,
Chris.
really, genuinely, yeah.
That
and the dad are the two that really did it for me.
Yeah, the thing I think about most about this movie since I've seen it is how just unbelievably good Zac Efron is in this, because he looks like a fucking monster the entire time.
Yeah. He's on Lou Ferrigno mode.
He's on Lou Ferrigno mode.
Yeah.
He has that broken jaw they had to get reconstructed, so it's big as hell.
Yeah.
He's got that dumbass haircut, almost always in those little shorts.
Which I heard was a wig from Jeremy Allen White.
I'd buy that, yeah.
But Jeremy Allen White said that he grew his hair out and then got extensions, and he said that sucked.
I could see that
a lot.
And all of his clothes are two sizes too small, so he looks like he's going to explode constantly.
Yeah.
And he's never...
Beef boy.
I mean, he does at the end when he finds his brother, but for the most part in this movie, he's very reserved, because I assume that's what Kevin Von Erich is a reserved man. But you can... I can't even put words to it or explain it, but like you know exactly what Zac Efron is thinking in every second of this movie, but he's still just pretty quiet and subdued and just like, "Oh, I'm going to keep the peace." But Chris, I don't know how he does it. Zac Efron, you're so good.
Yeah.
You're so good.
Yeah, like I said, even just that little scene where he says that thing about, he's like, "Yeah, Carrie can put him back."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, even at the end with the whole thing where he's like, "Well, yeah, I was just thinking about how, well, I had 5 brothers and, well, now not even a brother." Like, just the whole time. Yeah, for sure. It's for sure Zac Efron's movie. I want to go watch him in that damn Ted Bundy thing or whatever. What killer did he play?
Ted Bundy, yeah.
Yeah, it was Ted Bundy. Okay, yeah. I never saw that, but I'm just like hungry for more Zac now. I've always been hungry for Zac. I liked him in Neighbors and shit.
Chris, I like Zac in High School Musical.
Yeah. Well, I didn't watch that one. I'm not even in like a cool way. That never was.
Just check it out.
You know, I liked Twilight at that time. So
I never saw
like
Twilight.
I said, I'm not trying to cool guy.
No, dude.
I liked Twilight. But yeah, I didn't watch High School Musical. But
remember in Fight Club where they bring in Meatloaf and he's dead?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, it was a normal smash and grab, deface of whatever art while also making a bomb, blah blah blah, this and that. And they shot him. They shot him in the back of the head. That guy, dead in this movie.
Really?
I just figured that out.
Wow.
The whole movie, I was like, who is this guy? I looked at his IMDb.
Yeah.
I recognized nothing. I saw Fight Club. He's like, he's the guy that brings him Meatloaf. Yeah.
Yeah. When he's throwing up blood in that toilet at the wedding, and he's like, "I gotta go to Japan." I'm like, "Fuck, I remember that from The Dark Side of the Ring for show." And then he's like, "You're gonna be an uncle," and I'm like, "Dude, next scene is gonna be him dead for sure."
Yeah, that's what you tell someone in a movie before they die. Tragically, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I love them dancing at the wedding.
I'll get down, but don't get down. That's not the song, but it's basically
the honky tonk that they do. It's very cute. I love it. I love a line that does not need to be in this movie at all. They never really like play this up with mom ever again.
Yeah.
But it is such a mom thing to say. I love when she's like, see how pretty she is when she puts in some effort to the woman that her son just married. Like, it's so.
Well, they get married, and then homeboy dies over in Japan, and then there's that whole scene where they're sitting there drinking beers on the table, and Carrie's like, "I'll fucking do it," or whatever, and Kevin's like, "I'll do it," and Carrie's like, "I'll do it, Dad," or whatever. And he's like, we're gonna do a coin flip, whatever. And yeah, Carrie ends up being the one who goes and wins the champion or whatever for his brother David.
Funeral scene made me sick. Just Dad does a great job of making me sick throughout this entire movie.
Oh yeah.
When he's like, I mean, immediately when he's like, take those fucking sunglasses off, and he's just like, God decided it was his time. Like, just immediately turns into manager mode.
Yeah,
while
and he's
trying
like,
to
I better not see any of you guys crying at the funeral or whatever.
Like, yeah, that sucks. And then like, especially at the end of the night, being like, okay, well, hey, listen, your brother's been inside the ground for 45 minutes. We got to talk about who's going to Japan. It's just like, oh God, that sucks.
Yeah. And then almost immediately, Carrie goes out on that motorcycle ride, and they don't even like show it. I like how they do this. It just kind of cuts to him waking up, and he stumbles into frame with the fucking no foot thing.
He's got 2 refrigerators there. That's what got me the most.
Yeah, because you see that in the earliest scene of Breakfast too, and I was just thinking, like, is it because it's just like 5 beefy beef boys in the house? They just need that much shit to feed 5 beefy boys? Could
absolutely be.
That was what I was thinking. But anyways, yeah, and so I think just before that, like, what, Kevin fought Ric Flair, and it didn't go great, but Ric Flair did like Kevin, but Ric Flair wanted to drink after, so Carrie goes out and drink with him. Whatever, that happened a second ago. We already talked about the Ric Flair thing. Anyways, yeah, we already talked about the scene where Carrie comes back. I guess in a sense, what haven't we really covered?
Where
I guess
we?
just the only thing left to really kind of talk about, I guess, is the Carrie killing himself scene, right? Like, because
we did talk about a lot.
Yeah. If you want to peruse the synopsis really quick, you can cut this out because I'm gonna go take a piss. But if you want to look it over and see if there's anything else that jogs a memory, I gotta piss like nobody. To Miss Lance, is he in there just briefly?
Yeah, I'm recording again. We're talking about who Lance is because I'm looking at the IMDb. And yeah, he's listed here after it's Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, and then the guy who plays Lance Von Erich.
Yeah.
So I guess he must have been in there somewhere. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. Like I said, I got to piss one time, so I could have missed Lance, but they must not have made a big deal out of it because, like I said, that's like the only time I wasn't paying attention was when I got up to piss. But yeah, he's played by a wrestler, MJF or whatever. I know that. You know, I know he's one of the talkers right now that people are paying attention to for his talking. He's always wearing that Burberry scarf. Yeah. Anywho, did anything else catch your eye with the?
No, I was too distracted by Lance.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
I guess a couple of things we didn't talk about was like there's that scene where Kevin's just laying there crying in his brother's bed, and his wife comes up to kind of comfort him a little bit. That was a tough scene.
Sweet, yeah.
And then also, you know, like the one I think we talked about in the kitchen the other day about like her being like, hey, this doesn't work for me. And him being like, I'm sorry, I got to go sleep at the office. You know? And he does that a couple of times and then eventually he decides to come back and be a daddy. So that does kind of happen.
Yes. Yeah. We missed Mike. Did we talk about Mike?
Yeah, Mike, we didn't talk about him, but he swallows the sleeping pills, because they try to make him be a wrestler. Yeah, I forgot about the whole
shoulder surgery.
Dude, that's such a tough thing when he has the toxic shot and he's got the brain damage and he's just like, trying to wrestle soon or whatever. It's like,
I'm so sorry for what I'm about to say because
I'm sorry for doing the impression.
I don't know how to say this delicately, so I'm going to say it as delicately as I possibly can. The actor who plays Mike, let me find his name real quick.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Dude, it doesn't even show up in the media. I can't believe Lance is before him in this. Who plays?
I know, because like all of the promo is just the 3.
Stanley Simmons. The wonderful actor Stanley Simmons. I don't know how he does it, and I can't really describe it, but as soon as they cut to him at that table in front of that microphone, like just the look on his face, you can tell it's just like, like this guy's not going to be able to
I think he does a really good job from that point on for sure.
And
not that he doesn't in the beginning, it's just that like that's when he gets the time to like do something kind of remarkable, I guess, and he does really pull it off. It is like heart-wrenching.
He's heart-wrenching for the remaining time he's in this movie.
And he talks to his mom and he says like, everybody wants me to be David, I can't be David or whatever.
No, that's his suicide note, I think. Isn't it?
I thought he said it to his mom at the table.
Yes. Oh, no, you're right. He says it to his mom. But when, they're at that press conference, that's so tough.
Crazy tough.
It's just the shot, I believe, is holding on their dad, and they're like not in focus closer to you. And someone goes, "What do you think you're getting back in the ring?" And Zac Efron being like, fucking tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh, that's really
Yeah.
tough. And then when you see him for the last time and he's trying to play guitar,
Yeah.
that's so tough. So fucking tough.
There's two things also that I'm just remembering also that we didn't cover, which is the two scenes. Because honestly, despite being a huge part of the movie, I really do feel like Jeremy Allen White is almost barely in it.
Oh, he shows up like an hour into the movie. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Because he has two other real big scenes other than like the showing up at Christmas thing and, you know, the not having a leg. So there's like two scenes of him like trying to get used to not having a leg and like just being pissed about it. The one where he's in the field or whatever and he like falls over. But then there's also the one where him and Kevin are wrestling or whatever and he like gets mad at his brother and like tells him to like lay off or something like that or whatever. And he like he pushes Carrie to the ground or whatever. He's like, get the fuck up if you really think you can fucking wrestle. Like, I'm gonna have to be like this with you. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. Like,
yeah, that scene again. Fucking good God, Zac Efron.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that scene because I think like what's happening. What's happening is he's in so much pain because he can't. I don't understand that part though.
Yeah.
I don't understand what hurts so bad.
I was thinking about it and I'm thinking like, okay, so imagine this. Your like foot, your heel, and like the skin around it and the muscles and all that kind of stuff, like. That's all like evolutionarily designed to like hold your weight. Now you just got it sitting on the stump and just all those nerve endings and like all that. And then not only that, but it's also been stitched. So it's kind of like a wound and that's just pushing into like the...
Yeah,
like
and so you're jumping around on it.
Yeah. So I was
There's
just thinking...
probably no way to like really pad that in a very
because I was...
effective way. Yeah.
But, so anyways, but yeah, he's like in the ring and like he's pissed at his fucking brother. So his brother like pushes him down. I was like, hey, dude, like... Don't fucking wrestle then if you think I'm being rough with you or whatever it is that your problem is. I can't remember what it is.
It's the exact opposite, which is which makes it the roughest. And
he's telling him to be harder on him. Is that what it is?
The wrestling and Zac Efron, Kevin is like, dude, this isn't.
Yeah, this isn't good.
You can heal more. We can wait a while before you. And he's like, no, and he's like yelling at him. He's like, keep going, like keep doing it over and over and over again until he like falls down, and then Zac Efron Kevin gets like mad. Yeah. He's like. Fucking get up then. If you want to wrestle, then fucking show me. Get up right. And I think all the while this is happening, you see Mike's flashlight in the background as he's like wandering into the woods.
Do. Yeah, you do.
So tough.
Which is like a sad way, like even now as I'm thinking about it, to like kind of like just like in a sense, like what I get from that imagery is like a family so consumed by wrestling that like one of them's going off to kill himself and nobody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is paying attention.
For sure. What it's Oh, God.
But anyway, so then Carrie kills himself. It's a very dramatic scene that where like I think in real life it was Carrie, they said in the documentary, that had been for a while talking about how like quote unquote brave it was what Mike had done or something, or what Chris had done, one of them.
Wow.
But yeah, that's pretty dark. But anyways, he calls Kevin in the middle of the night and like, they have that conversation where he's like, I've got nobody or whatever, I'm a fucking I'm fucking deformed or whatever. And Kevin says to him like, he even says to him, he's like, yeah, Tammy or whatever. He's like, who? He's like, oh shit, that wasn't nothing, it's sad, But yeah, basically shows up at the dad's house, takes the gun that he gave his dad for Christmas and shoots himself, whatever. But then there's that fucking, goddamn, the dad shows up, whatever, and he's like, you were supposed to be there for him, kind of a thing, whatever. He's like, he called you. The dad says that to him. The dad said, like, because Kevin says to his dad, like, you were supposed to protect him, whatever, and he's like, he called you, didn't he? And then Zac Efron chokes his dad for a long time. Oh, that whole thing is so tough.
Yeah, because he hangs up with Carrie.
And he calls his dad,
immediately. And he's like, just keep an eye out if he comes over.
Yeah.
And like Dad's just so oblivious to it. And then when Zac Efron pushes him to the ground, I like sat up in my seat and like
because it's such a dude. The fucking he called you, didn't he? Like, damn, dude.
Yeah, he's like, that was between you and him. And I'm like, he says, Zac Efron says something along the lines of like, you were supposed to protect him. You were supposed to protect them. You were supposed to protect us.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck. And I was like, again, like I said, like I legitimately sat up in my seat.
Yeah.
And was like, I feel so bad saying this right now, but in the moment thinking about it, I'm like, God, I really hope I forgot that the Von Erich story ends with Kevin Von Erich killing his own father.
Oh shit, that's so funny. But yeah, so we talked about him carrying his brother in, and then he kisses his brother on the mouth.
And then the we talked about it already, but him picturing his brother, it's just like,
doesn't bother me so much now that you gave me the context of like it's probably Kevin imagining it, and that's fine because not trying to be a dick, but he's a big Texas boy who loves God, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sucks watching it because being I think we've talked before, being raised Catholic and stuff like that, that whole scene of just knowing exactly what's happening, it's just like they're just showing like the ideal version of like what he thinks heaven's going to be with his brothers, and him like on their boat going down their river, going to that dock.
It's just them hanging out too. There's no one else there.
They're just hanging out.
Yeah.
They're waiting for him, and he pulls up and they go, there he is. It's just the sweetest scene you've ever seen, and they all hug, and just it's so nice, and it made me so happy, which is the thing that made me so mad about it. It's just like, oh man, the ideal version of Jesus Christ's heaven
for him is literally just 6 brothers hanging out in a field also.
And it makes me so happy. It's what made me mad. Yeah. But it's very sweet. Yeah.
Well, like I said, we already talked about the ending. You know, they sell the promotion and stuff, and, you know, they're playing football. The dad cries, yada, yada, yada. That's pretty much a wrap on the picture.
Earlier, when they're on their first date, she said, Lily James says to Zac Efron that she wants to be a vet. And he's like, oh, that's great. We can be one of those, and all in the wrestling scene, one of those modern day power couples or whatever. And I'll buy a big farm, and the whole family can come live on it. Or both of our whole families can come live on it. And I love that the last title card is Kevin and wife.
And everybody came to live with him.
And everyone came to live with him. And it shows the big photo of all 150 grandchildren on the farm. It was very
got the fucking. They really made up for how much. Whatever. Anyways, so yeah, like I said, A. I'm giving it a A.
I'm gonna also give it an A. Speaking of really getting the fucking, we also watched Poor Things.
We did, yeah, and we've probably been talking about that wrestling movie for a while.
We did. We've been talking about that wrestling movie for about 1 hour.
Poor Things. I'm gonna ask you about your context, but to give you mine without you even asking, zero context. I knew that like Emma Stone had a new movie out, and I've never seen like Dogtooth or The Lobster or Killing of a Sacred Deer, so I didn't know the director's work. I didn't even know that it was this director. I think my dad said to me one time something about it being like, you know, a retelling of Frankenstein kind of or something from what he had heard or whatever. So really had nothing going in. What about you? Were you paying attention? Or?
Yeah, I saw a trailer for this earlier this year, I want to say.
Okay.
And just thought, like same as you, I've never seen anything else Yorgos Lanthimos has done.
I'm glad you know how to say his Greek name.
I don't think I do either.
Yorgos Lanthimos?
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Lanthimos.
I believe so. And I thought, that looks like it kicks ass. And then I saw Mark Ruffalo, and I thought, that looks like it kicks ass. Then I saw Willem Dafoe. I'm like, well, this kicks ass. I want to see this movie. And then, we saw it.
Gotta say, of all the kick-assery in the movie, the thing that brought me the most joy by far, and I mean by like a country mile, is Mark Ruffalo's character.
Mark Ruffalo's so good.
Mark Ruffalo destroyed this thing.
Mark Ruffalo's so fucking good at this.
Yeah, so fucking funny. Just killed me the whole time. Fantastic.
Yeah, like I can't remember what he says to somebody.
No, I couldn't give you a line, but
it's something. I remember the cadence of what he's saying to somebody, followed by the action and the hand gesture.
Yeah.
But like, someone from the ship comes in to say something to him, and he goes, "No, I told him I fucking lost it."
Yeah.
And like he's constantly throwing a thumb out and making a fart noise, and it's always funny.
Or like when Emma Stone slaps him and he just waits for like 5 seconds, he's like, "Ow!"
Yeah, he's so good.
But yeah.
Go on.
I was just gonna say from the top, it starts off with like a couple of like really more like moody and atmospheric shots with like no dialogue and stuff. The first one's very colorful, and it looks like, in my opinion, like something out of like the Edgar Allan Poe, like Vincent Price 60s era, like Hammer, Dracula, and Frankenstein with like Peter Cushing era, like
absolutely,
Technicolor 60s movie, like horror movie. And then it hard cuts to like being black and white, and she's sitting at the piano.
Yeah, which I think is strange.
Yeah.
I think actually, it is. Sorry, we'll get to it. Go on.
Sure. And so Emma Stone's hanging around, acting like a giant baby, which you don't get at first. And then Willem Dafoe's there. And
boy, is he.
Yeah, he like eats with her breakfast or whatever. He's like, all right, got to go now. And she's like, bye, bye. And he's like, bye-bye now. Goes, he does a little...
Also important to note that when he eats, he goes, and a big gross bubble comes out of him.
And they never address it.
I think they do. He hooks that feeding thing up to
himself.
Sure,
but I'm just saying, like, there's never a point where someone goes like, bro, what the fuck is that?
I think someone goes, bro, what the fuck is that? And he goes, my dad took out a bunch of shit from me to see if it was important. Turns out, it's important.
Yeah. So he goes to like the surgical theater or whatever to teach a class, and someone goes like, Dr. Frankenstein over here, and then someone else goes, shut up, he's important, and they go like, yeah, you want to lick his balls too, and then Mr. Willem Dafoe goes like, ball licker, get down here, you're my assistant now. It's good. He takes him home and he basically says like, hey, here's this lady. I want you to document just whatever she does, whatever she eats, everything and stuff like that. And then, his name is Max. He says
It's true.
He says the R word. He says that she's a wonderful or beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's that. Yeah.
Is it wonderful?
Beautiful.
Or fantastic or something?
No, I think it's beautiful. I think he comments about her being hot. I think immediately. I think he calls her beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then slowly, well, go ahead. What do you have to interject here?
I was just going to point out something that I noticed in the beginning of this movie
Sure.
that carries all the way to the end. I do love that she never really figures out how to walk.
Yeah.
Like, she walks like that pretty much the entire movie.
Yeah. I will also say something that I don't know when I'm going to find the time, so I might as well just mention it at the top. I really do love the crazy, like, AI-generated, like, establishing shots that are just like look like 2003 Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers, Series of Unfortunate Events 2003 like steampunk smash up of like, you know what I'm talking about, like just the weird like Victorian but also like
settings, like the towns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like
it's very strange, very strange in like a way where it's just like. So again, like the reason why I'm saying AI generated, because it's like you can't really point any one thing out, but it's just like a compression of like 98 to 2003. Just every movie that was made in that time that was animated to some degree is just smashed. Like, it seems like robots kind of. It kind of reminds me of Cat in the Hat. It kind of reminds me of a series of unfortunate events from my childhood. It just,
I could see that. Yeah.
It's just so strange to look at.
Yeah, you're really fucking me up on this. So you're really kind of ruining this movie aesthetically for me.
Oh, did that kill it?
You are right. Yeah.
But it killed it. It didn't do
I think what I think is so cool about this movie is a hop, skip, and a jump away from a series of unfortunate events. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks.
Yeah. I like those books when I was growing up. I read them all, and I saw that movie.
We're talking movies.
Yeah.
No, I like how it's just like ambiguously Victorian, but also kind of feels like a play, and also like just like a set like everybody lives on a very like a livable sized set. I like it.
Basically, Mr. Max gets a little curious about this lady, why she's so strange. He finds out that the lady we saw at the beginning that was in color that jumped off a bridge is this lady, but she was also pregnant, which I feel like is a fun swap on the Frankenstein story where Godwin, Baxter, whatever, Willem Dafoe was just like, what if I took this recently dead lady who's perfectly preserved because she died 3 minutes ago, and I took her baby that's still alive, and I took out the brain of the baby, and I put it in a lady just to see, like, how that would develop, basically. And also, on a side note, I love Willem Dafoe's every story of him being just like, my dad branded my penis and stuff. Just like,
I know. I love.
There's even a point where he's on the deathbed and he's like, my dad was an imbecile. It's like,
I love. He's explaining and the woman was dead, but still kind of like body was still kind of working. And the baby body wasn't going to work, but the brain was still working. So I made the only logical conclusion, and then I think Max goes, "You put the baby's brain in her body," and he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, I love that. The only logical conclusion.
Yeah.
Go on. Yeah.
Oh, so basically, so she's like a child that's developing or whatever, and then he's like, you want to marry her, don't you? You should marry her. And he's like, I guess I should. Which, wild. Because, yes, physically as a lady, I guess she's fully developed, but also she has like literally the brain of like a 6-year-old.
I wouldn't even say 6. I'd say 2, maybe.
And that's so not hot.
That's...
No matter how hot the woman that has a child's brain in it.
Correct. Yeah, Chris, that's the right answer. Yeah. Like that's the toughest part of this movie for me. If you want to send a message, go to Western Bank. But I mean, just the plot of this movie being someone, like basically having like the innocence and social understanding of
which
a child.
Which I think is probably a commentary on like Victorian expectations of a woman.
Yeah, stuff like that.
It probably has to do with like. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, like Charlotte Perkin Gilman, the yellow wallpaper type shit.
Yeah, and like by the end of it, she like figures herself out and who she wants to be and who she
Yeah.
does want to marry and
Yeah.
all that stuff. But also the whole movie, I can't get over. I'm like, this is a baby. All these men having sex with a baby.
Yeah. Well, what's his name? What is Mark Ruffalo's name? It's like Wetter. What's his first name? It's
It's Duncan.
Duncan Wetter or something like that, right?
Yes, Duncan Wetter.
Yeah, Duncan shows up because he's like the guy who handles the legal contract that is going to be signed for Max to marry whatever.
Yeah, which includes like you can't go outside.
Yeah. He sneaks away to get a look at Bella, touches her vagina, which is very inappropriate.
Right off the bat.
Yes, but for the rest of the movie, very funny guy.
Yeah.
That part, not so funny.
Also, she's been beaten off like crazy.
She has been beaten off like nuts.
At this point, basically, this movie is
the horniest thing I've ever seen.
Basically The Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Plot point's pretty 1-to-1 at this point.
Also, I forgot to mention the scene where she just like fondles a cadaver's dick and then stabs his eyes a bunch with a scalpel.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shot that one straight out of my brain as soon as it happened.
No, that one's staying there forever. I hate it. But I guess I also want to make this side note to say that like I put this movie in the camp of like it's a really fun thing in my opinion. I don't know what to call it or if like one day it'll have a name or something, but just like that like Swiss Army Man, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Beau is Afraid. This is like a weird like these are such weird, inventive, and subversive movies that are also at the same time pretty conventional, but like they just have these like weirdo stink to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
really
should be. Yeah.
So very rare film. Definitely something worth coming out to see.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, you know, in the beginning, you know, I know these did not come out necessarily like on the same day. They came out within a week of each other, but it just reminds me of you know, kind of like something like Oppenheimer and Barbie. Like it's just cool to me that I'm like, damn, two badass movies in the theater at the same time.
Oh, buddy, we're back.
Who spoiled me?
Movie wise, we're back. Yeah, just like I feel like the last.
It's been a good year for movies.
Movies are back, and I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah. I have to agree with you.
But I believe at this point in the movie, so we switched to full color.
Oh yeah.
And I caught myself thinking about it when I was saying it earlier. I'm like, I think it's really weird that the beginning of this, for some reason, is in black and white.
Yeah.
I like that it cuts to color the first time they bone.
Yeah.
Because it's like really effective because it's a very hard shot to them forking, and then it's the most colorful thing you've seen at the same time. Yeah. It's like, oh, Christ alive. Yeah. So it's like it's the... I don't know how to word this without sounding like a pervert. It is in every sense the most pleasing and surprising experience you can get at the same time because you're like, oh, fucking, and a lot of color, but it like came out of nowhere, so it really surprised me.
I have to backtrack to make a couple more general statements before I forget them because I will. Another one is that, to piggyback off of that, it looking like that era of horror films. I do like that it's like a modern day black horror a la something like Swiss Army Man, but at the same time, I feel like it is kind of an homage to like those like 70s horrors, like the Abominable Dr. Phoebes and stuff like that. It just has like such a 70s horror like thing about it. Because like even when I like when they leave Godwin's house and he's got like that horse buggy that's actually like motorized, but it has a fake horse head on the.
That made me laugh out loud, and I don't know why. It really got me.
And then they go out into the woods and they have like a picnic, but then he sees other people and he's like, "Oh, we've got to go! Bad storm coming!" And they get back in the. And then she's just yelling like a banshee, and they're like wrestling her back into the carriage. Just that whole time, I'm just thinking of how many, weird movies from the 60s and 70s that were made with no money that just take place in the woods, but they're also supposed to be Victorian, but also they take place in the woods because then you don't have to pay to make a Victorian town.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, Duncan is basically like, let's run away, darling. Let's go to Lisbon. They go to Lisbon, like you were saying. They fuck like crazy, and yeah, I just love that scene where he's like, "You've now had the best," and he's like, "Now I have to sleep for 4 hours." And she's like, "Okay," but I do like the little joke about the whole like, so the male body has like a limitation, and he's like, "Yeah, I suppose so. If you want to put it like that,
Yeah, I like you said earlier, Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah,
favorite part of this movie, or part of this movie that goes what wildest,
hard, right? Buck Wild. He's going ape shit on this
yes.
film.
My favorite thing,
a
la your favorite thing being Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Again, in like the least sexual way possible. I mean this.
Uh-huh.
Just how just cock and balls out Emma Stone is this entire movie.
Yeah.
I feel like there's
Yeah.
the term, Donald Duck in it or Winnie the Pooh in it where you don't have pants on.
Yeah.
I feel like if you are naked from the waist to your shoes, I think it is I love when something that is very gendered is a term that's used for everybody. I think from now on, I think if you were naked from the waist down, but you still have shoes on and a shirt, your cock and balls are out. I think that's how
good.
we should.
That's good. I support it. He also likes to drink, smoke, and gamble.
And who of us don't?
Yeah, pretty funny. She like starts kind of like, again, she's got this like childlike wonder about her, I guess, even when it comes to the sexuality, and she's like outside of social constructs of like what is, faithful and like what is cheating and yada yada yada. So like there's just these little things that'll happen, like where she'll like notice that she has 2 bruises on her inner thighs, and just she'll go this long thing about how she's like, well, yeah, but the guy who plays chess all the time was like, oh, your inner thigh, whatever, you must have the softest skin I've ever seen. She's like, no, that's not true. Probably my inner thigh is the softest place. He's like, well, let me check. And she was like, he gave me a pinch or whatever. He's like, but then I had to have him pinch the other side to see if like that was just as soft or whatever. And like he just goes down to the bar and smashes his head as hard as he can on the fucking counter. And I love that how every time she comes back and says like, yeah, I let a guy go down on me, he's just like, you are a demon harpy sent from the depths of hell to destroy me from the inside and out or whatever. And it's just so I just love like him being there, like for lack of a better term, as like the straight man, but by that I mean as like he plays like society man, just guy who knows social constructs and she doesn't, and it's just so funny his reactions, how she behaves.
Yeah, you're right. He is the straight man to everything she's doing, but all of his reactions to her weird shit are funnier and weirder than anything she's doing. Which I think is the point,
because like it's supposed to make him seem like the fool. Like she's right. Nobody should get that upset about like, oh, the person that you supposedly love had another man touch her thighs, and now you don't love her anymore. Like that's insane. So you have Mark Ruffalo act insane because that's the point, whatever. But still, even with the commentary aside, so fucking funny, Mr. Mark Ruffalo. Not to say that with the commentary it's less funny. I'm just saying that like even without the message that the movie's sending, Mark Ruffalo so fucking funny. So fucking.
Also, I want to say, I think it's very cool, but I don't know how it happened. But I feel like I was gonna say it about Mark Ruffalo, but I feel the same way about Emma Stone and fucking Willem Dafoe. Probably, they're character actors. Yeah. Like they're just tried and true, can do literally whatever you need them to do and knock it out of the park as actors.
Yeah.
But they're all like movie stars. Yeah. They're all like. You put their name on a poster, it sells the movie. They're like leading actors. Like, that's where, because, I was just sitting here thinking, like, oh, yeah, there's nothing that I think I've seen Mark Ruffalo do that I'm like, that doesn't work because he's a character actor. But then I'm like, oh, yeah, but he's like a leading man now, which is very strange. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I love it.
Then Duncan, after getting very, jealous of all the, stuff she's doing sexually and whatnot, he's like, how about a change of scenery, darling? He puts her in a giant luggage case and takes her out to sea. And as soon as she's let out of the box, he's like, oh, she literally says, like, you put me on a ship so I wouldn't fuck anybody else, basically. And he's like, well, kind of, but also it's so beautiful, darling, whatever. She ends up making a couple of friends, that old lady, and the young cynic, Harry, I think his name is, and her name's Martha.
So, yes. Yeah. She doesn't bone.
Yeah, she doesn't bone.
Her whole thing.
She finds that very strange, and she tells Duncan as soon as he comes up, and Duncan's like, Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah, I forgot, because before this in Lisbon, they were having all those dinners and shit. And she's not fucking with the dinners. Like the Duncan dinner double dates that he's having.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Not getting a kick out of that at all. Which is also pretty funny, because, he just keeps trying to be like, shut the fuck up, every time she's weird. And I like that aspect of it, too, where, like, for so long, I mean, I guess the entire movie, he has no idea what's happened, so there's multiple times where he says something to her along the lines of, like, like, really, genuinely, I don't understand, like, what do you not understand, like, how society works, that kind of thing, like, he's, like, talking to her, because he has no idea that she's got a baby brain in her. It's just the way that he's like always being like, "What is wrong with you?" Like, but it's like so believably not just the way that like in a movie someone says like, "What is wrong with you?" Like it's I believe it. Mark Ruffalo did a good job.
Like he has examples.
His frustration is so great.
Yeah, he comes with examples. I think he says something along the lines of like, "You've never seen a shit before, but you know the word perturbed."
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how does someone like you exist? It's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then there's the throwing the books into the ocean scene. They stop in Alexandria, and she sees poor people for the first time. Harry shows that to her, and she gets very sad. She's very sad, and she takes all of Duncan's money that he's finally won after losing for a long time and gives them to a couple of ship hands. They're like, oh, yeah, we'll give them to the poor people. Oh, show. And, yeah, dude, I love that. Like, she's crying in bed or whatever, and she's like, I gave the money away or whatever. And he's like, you fucking what with all of my money?
Yeah, and I love how almost...
Yeah.
Immediately, like within the amount of time it takes to close and then reopen a door, that guy leaves and then comes back at the captain and goes, so I hear you don't have the money to be on the ship anymore.
Yeah, and then the guy in the hat fucking punches him in the stomach.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, and then they're in France, and she's just like, wow, how remarkable. Like, we're in France. And he's like, yeah, but we don't have any money. And she's like, yeah, but it's like an experiment. Plenty of people have survived with no money. We'll figure out how we're going to do it.
Oh, also 2 hours ago, we forgot to mention Willem Dafoe set a bunch of money into the inside of her jacket.
Oh, yes. And then also I should say that, like, I love that they keep cutting back to, like, Willem Dafoe and Max, like, not knowing how to deal with being sad about her being gone. So then they try to make another girl with a brain of a child.
Played by Margaret Qualley, who's, like, also a very well-known actor. So for her to just be in 2 seasons of this movie and just go... ball. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. Genuinely wonderful. Genuinely love this movie. Would love to watch it again. It's just so chock full of like lines that like made me laugh, if not laugh out loud. And
I feel bad. We're like probably going to be short and a little all over the place with this one compared to the wrestling one. But
this one is one of those things where like to recapture the magic, it's not necessarily in like, you know, a scene where like someone has died and then they say like 3 words and you're like, wow, the way they said that 3 words. It's like, you know, there's a lot of interplay and word exchanges and talking and words and stuff, and it's, you know,
also we saw Iron Claw a week ago, and 72 hours ago we saw Poor Things, so we've been stewing on that one.
But basically fucking genuinely hilarious. And I love like when she goes to the brothel, she starts banging for money, and just that one scene where like she opens her window into the fucking alley and Mark Ruffalo's just out there screaming and he pulls out a chunk of his hair. So fucking
there's like
funny.
I don't think it's done on purpose, but there's like when he eventually like confronts her in the street where she's with her friend and they're like, we're our own means of production or whatever. It's like 2 cuts before that, and it's like 2 minutes before he's in the scene. You can see him like very far out of focus in the background, like looking for her. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, because they talk at one point and he's like, you've been whoring? That's the worst thing you could be doing. You know?
Yeah. I do love when she has sex for the first time with that guy who's very quick, and she's like, oh, sick, awesome. And she comes out eating the eclairs. And she gives him one, and he's like mad. He's like, she goes, okay, fine. And she gets all the money out of her jacket and gives it to him. I feel like something else funny happens at the brothel.
There's a lot of things that happen at the brothel. I mean, you know, just for example, like there's a whole earlobe thing where she like bites the earlobe and she like flinches. She's like, oh, I thought you were going for the earlobe again. She also shows her the baby because she's like, listen, this is how capitalism works. If you don't make me sex money, then I can't feed this baby. So you better keep making sex money.
That part did make me laugh where she, not the baby.
That baby's funny. It's very funny. They just have this alcove for the
That's
little baby.
What I was going to say. So let me pull across this tiny little curtain of this tiny little baby hiding room that I have that is meant to hide my baby and nothing else.
Yeah, very funny. But yeah, so basically, eventually I think she gets word that Godwin is on his deathbed, so she comes home. And I think just before that, fucking Mark Ruffalo's in like an insane asylum. And he like writes to Max, and Max comes, and like that whole scene's also hilarious. Where he's just like, she's ruined me, you can have her, or whatever. It's like, but I just genuinely cannot get over how much I love Mark Ruffalo.
And his like silly little accent feels.
I was worried at first, but I feel like he does a good job the whole time.
Because it's arguably, I would say, a bad one. It's a bad accent. He's not doing it good, but it's perfect for who he is. So
because it seems sleazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like a sleaze to it.
Or like I can't even remember what you just said. Like what the quote you just said from him in the asylum.
Oh, she ruined me. You can have her or whatever.
Oh, yeah. She ruined me. Like that shit is great.
He really fucking goes for it, yeah. He really hams it up in that scene. I don't know if that was like maybe like the first thing they shot and then he like toned it down from there, but that was...
I also love when the dead woman's husband shows up later for most of that scene, especially before he's talking, Mark Ruffalo is literally like a cartoon character hiding behind.
I know. Yes, it was so funny. Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that guy shows up and he's like, yeah, Mark Ruffalo's like, I remember when we were in Lisbon, or whatever, that lady thought she had seen, Victoria Vici, whatever your name is, whatever. So I, tracked that down, found this guy. He's your husband. You can't get double married. Ma.
I left to go to the bathroom at one point, and while I was like leaving and like shutting the theater door behind me, I heard someone go, Victoria, whatever. I haven't seen you in so long. Yeah. And I just remember thinking, I bet that's probably gonna be super important.
Yeah, it was. But anyways, basically, she goes to see about her old life. The guy is very, very cruel. She hates him. She ends up shooting him in the foot. He's gonna die. She drags him over to because there's a whole thing where like he's gonna like chloroform her and then have her clit cut off so that she's not like sexually driven anymore, but he can still knock her up a couple of times. Or whatever. Awful, but
also I totally have blown past all the. Oh no, you mentioned it. Sorry, the like duck pigs.
Yeah, we didn't mention it, but yeah, there's like duck pigs around and shit like that. Yeah, very funny, very funny. But basically, at the end, it genuinely ends with like her putting a sheep's brain into her ex-husband's head, and Willem Dafoe's passed away, but her and Max get married, and they're just happy in their little garden.
Yeah,
yeah, wonderful.
I'm
tempted to almost give it an A+.
I'm gonna give it an A for sure.
Yeah.
When Willem Dafoe is dying,
I'm gonna keep it to A though. I'm gonna hold my horses.
Friend of the show, Elton, leaned over to me, and he went, "Oh, you'd love it. We put the sheep brain in the guy," and then I grabbed Elton's hand and I went, "But you could have put my brain in the guy."
I know that's genuinely what I thought they were gonna do.
Same.
I thought they were gonna put I thought they were gonna put Godwin's brain in there.
Would have been sick.
Yeah, would have been good.
Hey, look, you don't have body your dad fucked up anymore. Ta-da.
Yeah, like
but the sheep man's funnier.
I like when he asks him to marry her or whatever, and he's like, "You're not making like a Franken mistress or whatever," and he's like, "Oh no, my dad cut off my dick and balls or whatever, made me like a eunuch," or whatever he says, the whole thing about the branding and shit like that. He's like, plus, even if I wasn't, there's some weird paternal instinct that's keeping me from being able to be sexually aroused to any degree by this.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, that's basically the movie. Yeah, I know that we give it a really quick recap, but again, I think it's just more difficult with like a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Even though there's plenty to take from this, there's genuinely, like I said, a lot of like little satire and commentary in there, and it's
there's a lot going on in this movie.
There's a lot going on in this thing, but at the end of the day, it's also just a little tough to
maybe
So, but it's good. A, I'm giving it an A.
I'm also gonna give it a solid A.
Well. It's that time of the show again. It's the time where we decide what's happening next week.
Next episode, as I'm sure we all know, it's day after my birthday, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So, I will be out of town.
Okay.
I will be on a road trip much like last year.
Oh, really?
So, it's either going to be a guest host or we're taking a sabbatical for a week.
Okay, where are you going?
I don't know.
Gonna see where the road takes you?
Yeah.
Solo?
So. Yeah.
Whoa. That's cool.
Hey, man. We're only 28 once.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool.
Alas, sorry.
Yeah.
We'll leave you stranded. But, yeah.
Well, you'll be missed, but that's really cool.
So, looking forward to it, unless it's nothing. And then looking forward to both of us getting a week off.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, let's just leave it at a TBD. If I can wrangle up, some other, someone else to do it, perhaps.
All right.
If not, maybe, who knows? Maybe I sit here and I talk to myself.
I'd like to see that. So, to be continued, I suppose.
Could be 7 minutes long if it's just me. I have no idea how I would sustain an hour worth of just talking to this empty chair.
Just talk about a season of the X-Files.
Yeah, that's true. Well, TBD and happy BD early.
Oh, thank you.
So, you want to sign it off now?
Oh, yeah, fucking buck wild. I forget every time. Hey, everyone, don't forget, shoplifting is a victimless crime, and we at Eating Soup Alone endorse it. Do it more.
Perfect.
Could that get us into legal trouble?
No.
Okay, cool.
Never. If you need more soup,
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to our website, eatingsoupalone.com. And until next time,